Hi everyone, welcome back to my video. As you can tell from the title, we will be going over all the books that I read in July today. So we're gonna put this massive stack somewhere so that I don't drop all of them. Okay. As per usual, we're just going to grab from the stack and go through. These aren't necessarily the order that I read them in. I just never remember. So first up, we have Hunting Prince Dracula. This is the second book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. It follows Audrey Rose and what is the main male character's name? I don't remember. Thomas Cresswell. And it's set in like 18 or 1900s London. This one is sort of centered around the legend of Jack the Ripper. Actually, no, not Jack the Ripper. Sorry, Vlad the Impaler / Dracula. In this one, they are in a completely new setting. They're supposed to be going to this school of forensic forensics, pretty much, where they're going to be learning how to perform autopsies and everything like that on different dead bodies. And while they're in this castle, because of course it's a castle, people start turning up dead. People think that it's linked to maybe Dracula because there's weird like things that point to bats or vampires or fangs and stuff like that, and they're determined to, of course, figure out who is responsible for this. For the things that I love that these two characters keep finding themselves in the middle of these serial killer plots. I think they're hilarious. Obviously very unrealistic, it's just not gonna happen. Most people don't find themselves in the middle of one serial killer plot, let alone two, within like a year, so that's always entertaining. I love the banter between the two of these characters. Thomas is just so great. This is in a time period where like outright flirting and romantic intentions just aren't a thing. So seeing him sort of try to get a rise out of Audrey Rose by constantly flirting with her and stuff is just so funny. Like the banter between the two of them, I love it, and I love how she's like, no, I could never, but like she really enjoys it on the inside, so that's fun. This one felt a little bit long, a little bit slow compared to the first one, so I didn't rate it as highly. I think I gave this one like a 3-star rating, maybe 3.5, but I did still enjoy it, and I'm excited to continue through with the series. Then we have All Dressed in White by Mary Higgins Clark. This one is about a TV producer who has this show called Under Suspicion. She reopens cold cases where people were like the prime suspect, but nobody was able to actually prove who was responsible. She interviews those people, other people in the cases, and tries to solve the case ultimately, or give new leads, stuff like that. This one, she is looking at a failed wedding that happened 5 years prior, and it failed because the bride went missing, and nobody's really sure if she just ran away because she didn't want to get married, or if something really bad happened to her. So they reopen this case. It's kind of messy because the groom has since married the old bride's maid of honor. The brother doesn't want to really be involved. There's some messy stuff with like the groomsmen, different things like that. And they decide to take them all to this expensive resort where the wedding was originally supposed to be held, and they're all stuck together. And there was a lot of drama and tension and stuff like that. I ate it up. I thought it was really funny, and it's just another one of her good like cozy mysteries. Kind of cozy. I don't know. I think they're cozy. Then we have Kiss of the Basilisk. Whew, this was a doozy. This was another book that I'm just going to describe as like a fever dream story where I was like, what the heck am I reading right now? I went into this not knowing a lot of plot. I think the plot kind of helps a little bit. It's in this world where there's humans and there's basilisks, and they've reached this tentative arrangement where they get along. The basilisks provided this service to the kingdom where the young women who are the same age as the prince, when he's eligible to be married, they train the women in like sexuality, because the basilisks are supposed to be very sensual, very sexual creatures, and they're very well versed in that area. So each human girl gets a basilisk and they go through this training. And then the prince has like this selection process where he gets to pick which girl he wants to be with, and the ultimate goal is that it's somebody that can please him because of this training that they undergo. So like the spice is instantaneous in this book, like you can't get away from it, and it's just throughout the entire book. It takes a very long time for any other sort of plot line to come into play, and then even when it does, it definitely takes a backseat to the spice and this stupid romantic conflict that the main female character has decided to place herself in. She was a little bit annoying to me, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm like, just make up your mind. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're being a little bit unreasonable, and naive is a good word for it. So she drove me nuts, and then eventually the spice scenes just got like way out there where I'm like, what is happening right now? What am I reading? And I'm not going to say what they are, because if that is your vibe and you want to go into this, I don't want to spoil it for you. I believe there's an audience for this. Absolutely. If you love it, I love that for you. It's just not maybe my thing. I thought there'd be a little bit more to go with the spice, and then I would have enjoyed it more, if I'm being honest. Like, I just want a little bit more plot attached to my spice. So yeah, if you're the audience for that, I think you'll love it. If not, maybe steer clear. Then we have The Merciless. This is like a YA, I actually think more like middle grade horror story, kind of, where it's this group of girls that are popular in the school and everything, and then of course there's this one outcast girl that they don't like. A new girl comes to town, and they kind of bring her into the group, and they convince her that this girl that they don't like might be, like, something's wrong with her. And they end up like going to this house together, and the new girl finds this outcast in the basement, like, tied up. And they're like, oh, we have to perform an exorcism on her. But while they're doing that, they're trying to get secrets out of her. They end up just plain torturing her. And it's like, I don't know. I thought it would be really fun and, like, mind-bending and kind of scary. It just ended up being, like, grotesque in, like, an just overly done way. It wasn't well written. Everything in the plot was just, like, so fast-paced. There was really nothing outside of them pretty much just torturing this girl. I'm like, okay, we got nothing out of this story. I did not enjoy my time reading this. I had the next 2 or 3 books, I think 3, in the series, because I just bought them all at once, which I'm trying to stop doing. And I will not be continuing it. So I got 4 books off my TBR very quickly. So there is that. But probably just should have DNF'd that book, if I'm being honest. Then my classic for the month was Journey to the Center of the Earth. I listened to this on audiobook. It's kind of fun. It's obviously not, like, realistic in any way, but it does just follow them trying to get to the center of the Earth. It's about the scientist who found, like, these notes that he's convinced have this secret because there's, like, a secret message on them, and then it's supposed to be this path to get to the center of the Earth and everything. I remember the movie being a lot better. Just because it has more of them actually being in the center of the Earth. Maybe, like, I just missed a lot of it when I was listening to this, but, like, I feel like that part didn't get a lot of story. It was just a lot of the journey, which I guess could make sense considering the title. But I don't know. I was a little bored. It wasn't terrible, wasn't great, probably won't ever bother reading it again. Then we have Hunting Annabelle. This is one of those books that had a fantastic premise and then just let me down. It's about this young man who has a history of mental health problems, and he actually had spent some time in a psychiatric prison due to a crime that he committed, and now he's out. He's still struggling with his mental health stuff, and he meets this young woman named Annabelle that he sort of forms this connection with, or at least he thinks he does, and he sees her go missing. He sees her get kidnapped. Police won't believe him because of his mental health history, and, like, his mom going, no, he has this, like, he does this, it's all in his head, like, so he's determined to figure this out on his own. It says that he has to let his demons loose in order to solve this crime and everything, and it should have been fun. It should have been a wild, twisty ride. It just wasn't. There wasn't a lot of twists in here. There wasn't a lot of turns. The one main twist is at the end, and I thought it was terrible. I did not see how that made any sense in this storyline, and it just, like, yeah, it just felt out of place and gimmicky almost, so I just didn't really appreciate it. This was a 2-star read. Then we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I kind of went off the rails on my TBR for the month, if I'm being honest. I just did a lot of outside reading. This was one of them. My friend Malika reached out and was like, hey, you want to do a buddy read for this? I'm like, absolutely. I'm not sticking to my TBR anyway, so, like, why not? This is not a cowboy romance, which a lot of people assume that it's going to be. This is more of, like, a billionaire romance. He owns a music studio, and it's set in Rose Hills. And the whole premise is this guy that has a music studio, he ends up finding out that he's a father. He had no idea that he was a father, and he is now taking care of, I believe she's either 12 or 13-year-old daughter, and he doesn't know what to do with this. He doesn't know how to run a new company, plus take care of a daughter that he never knew existed. Enter in, forget what her name is, enter in Rosie, who is his brother's little sister. She comes back to town because her life just kind of imploded after some work stuff happened, and she needs a bit of a reset. She agrees to work for him. She starts helping with his daughter, and sort of old tensions come back into play because the two of them were always, like, at each other's throats when they were kids. You get to see a lot of stuff about them in journal entries that Rosie wrote, which I think is great. I love seeing that as like a way to explain their past without doing actual legitimate flashback scenes. It was cute. It was a good time. I think like I rated this like 4 stars. I did enjoy it. Do still think I prefer the Chestnut Springs series more, but this is only the first one in this series, so I might like the next 2 a little bit more. We'll see. Also, not on my TBR for the month were all of these Allie Hazelwood books. I did another TBR takedown video, which you guys can go and watch, in which I read all of these Allie Hazelwood books. I'm not going to go super in depth with all of them because you can watch that, and if you watch that, you don't want to hear me ramble about them again. I will say Deep End was my least favorite. Just didn't really enjoy this. I liked the sports aspect of it, getting to see some glimpses into diving and swimming, but the rest of it just didn't really vibe with, didn't get the connection between the two romantic interests, just wasn't my favorite. The Love Hypothesis, this was my favorite out of her STEM novels. I just really enjoy Olive and Adam. I think they're cute, I think they're adorable. Their fake dating scenes were hilarious. It just made me laugh a lot. Then we have Love Theoretically. This one wasn't too bad. Yeah, this is the one where she's a scientist but also is fake dating on the side because she's in school, and being an adjunct professor for science is just not paying enough. And I really enjoyed the fact that Jack, the main male love interest in this, is very big on trying to make sure that the person that she's being when she's with him is authentic and real, and that she's asking for things that she actually wants, not things that she thinks that the guy wants her to want, if that makes any sense. So he's very big on authenticity and sort of pushing her to become herself and to stop molding herself to people around her. And I thought that was great. I enjoyed that a lot. I think that one was like a 3.5-star read. The Love Hypothesis was a 4-star. Love on the Brain was probably my least favorite out of all these STEM romances. This is like a 3-star read. I just didn't really like the main female character that much. Couldn't connect with her. Felt like she was very just overly quirky in a way that I couldn't vibe with. The amount of science puns in here drove me nuts. I just couldn't get into it. So yeah, but there is like this one like page-long thing that the male main character sends to somebody that he doesn't know who it is, but it's about how he feels and like his romantic feelings and stuff, and I thought it was adorable. I loved every minute of it, but like, yeah, as a whole, not my favorite. It was still a 3-star read. I think they're all a giggly, good, fun time. I enjoyed seeing the science aspects of them in all of them, but I will say, after the Love Hypothesis, the other ones just made me feel really stupid. I had no idea what they were talking about with the science, because that was like my least favorite subject in school. So yeah, it was kind of funny reading something that made me just go, I don't know what these words mean when they're pieced together. Then lastly, for my physical books, we have The Reckoning. This is the 3rd book in the Zodiac Academy series. Oh my god, the way that this one pops off is insane. And I heard they keep getting more insane and just great as you go through. I love this series. I don't know why people say they don't love this series. I love the twins in here. I love the male romances in here. Like, Professor Orion is just everything to me, and getting to see him more in this book was just, I was like, yes, gimme, gimme, gimme. It was great. I loved it. I'm kind of sad because I think I'm going to go into, like, the suggested reading order is to read these 3 and then read the 5 books in the Ruthless Boys series, which is set prior to this. I don't know who it follows, but to read that and then jump back into this world, because you get a lot of context and everything for the rest of the books. So I will be taking a break from the Zodiac Academy series to go into the Ruthless Boys, which I'm a little sad about, but I am really loving my time with that series. Then I read The Lies of Lena on Kindle. This is a fun time. It's a fantasy world where mages aren't supposed to exist, or not necessarily supposed to exist. They're just not well liked. And eventually the king decides to issue this kill order on all the mages. So the main female character, who of course is a mage in hiding, she has to go and run away with her mom and stuff. This was after she formed a connection with someone in the kingdom, this male that she fell in love with and everything. She has to leave and say goodbye to him. And then there's a time jump and stuff, and new things start happening. I don't want to give away too much because I think it's fun to go into it and not know a bunch of the plot. I did really like it. It's a very fast-paced book. Like, the world building is minimal but still well done. You still understand what the world is and what's going on. And like I said, all of the action, all of the plot is, and even just the writing style itself is very quick moving and everything, so it doesn't take long to get through this book by any means. And then I listened to, I never remember the title. I always screw it up, so let me double check what it is quick. I listened to Nevermore. I keep wanting to call it Evermore. It's Nevermore by Miranda Lynn. I've talked about Till Death, probably till, like, I'll talk that one to death. And I love that. It's a 6-star read, and this book is supposed to be sort of following that storyline. This is going to be a duology. I've heard her say, the author, say that you don't need to read Till Death in order to understand this book. Technically you don't, but I think you're going to be a little bit confused, especially in the beginning, if you don't have that context of what happened in the ending chapters of Till Death. And then there's some like references back to some of those characters. So I recommend reading Till Death, but like if you don't want to, just know you're going to have a little bit of confusion in the beginning, especially of this book. I don't know how to explain the plot of this. If I'm being honest, so we're gonna try together. It follows Paisha. She is sent into this realm that she knows nothing about, and the whole reason is because she's trying to get back to her home realm. While she's in this one, she was given this order by a god that sent her there, like, you have to find some way to get home. And he gives her a really vague starting point that she can go off of. So she's in this world, she has no idea what's going on, she ends up sort of connecting with this group of people, and part of that is like trying to save her from the king's men or the prince's men who are evil and not good people. And he's like, nope, that's my wife. Like, she's with me, let's go. So she spends the entire story like pretending that she's in this marriage with this guy, and there's this whole cast of characters that he works with that are trying to help the poor people in the realm and everything. So it's a great found family aspect. I love the not even arranged marriage, like the fake marriage. I enjoyed that part of it and everything. This one's a lot more gruesome than the first book, I will say. Definitely a lot more dark scenes in it. And I spent a lot of the end of it confused. I'm like, wait, what's happening? Like, I need like a character tree to try to understand the way that things went in the end. And that's not to say that it's out of left field or not well done. It's literally just the way in my brain that I'm like, I didn't see this coming, and I'm gonna need a minute to figure this out. So, needless to say, I will be reading the second book. This is a 4-star read. Didn't love it as much as Till Death. There's just something about that world and those characters and everything that I loved more, but I did still really enjoy this. I loved Paisha and her attitude and her sass. It was great. So I can't wait to read the second one when that comes out later this year. But I think that is all of the books that I read this month, in July. Not this month, it's August now. All the books that I read in July, I'm fairly confident anyway. I didn't do great with my TBR, as I've already alluded to. Let me find them. I didn't read my Agatha Christie for the month. That is somewhere that's not up here, so I can't. That's The Laborers of Hercules? Yeah, didn't read that one. I didn't read The Identicals. I didn't read We Must Be Brave. And I didn't finish Shield of Sparrows. I started this. I am like 50% of the way through, but it's a pretty long book, and like there's just a lot up to it. It's a dense book, so I haven't quite finished that either. I still think it was a great month. Just because I didn't stick to my TBR doesn't mean it wasn't a great month. I just, yeah, need to do a little better about the TBR in August. So hopefully we will have some really good picks for that. If you haven't watched that video, I do have that video up already as well. But yeah, that is it. I will stop rambling now. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around, and I will hopefully see you again in another video very soon.